Welcome to CoatingsCast, the ultimate podcast dedicated to the science, art, and innovation of liquid and fluid applied roofing, coatings for surfaces, and waterproofing. It's time to roll up our sleeves, put on our lab coats, and dive headfirst into the world of liquid protection that keeps your roofs and surfaces in prime condition. The future is here, and it's liquid, so don't miss out. This is CoatingsCast, where every drop counts in the world of roof and surface protection.
Hello and welcome to another episode of CoatingsCast from CoatingsCoffeeShop. My name is Karen Edwards, and today, we've got a special episode because we have Brian Cook from Dataforma joining us, along with Kim Baxter of O'Hara's Sun Roofing, and we're going to be talking about partnerships between contractors and service providers and how that really leads to innovation and development with the tools. So, guys, thank you for being here. Brian, Kim, it's great to see you both.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, partnerships and friendships, right, Kim?
Those are the only ones we have.
That's right. That's what's great about this industry. Kim, Brian, and I, the three of us have known each other for a very long time in this industry. So it's fun to have them on the podcast and to talk about this topic because it's so important. So, Brian, why don't you start us off, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so like you said, I am Brian Cook. I am the Senior Vice President at Dataforma. We're a software largely for commercial roofing clients. I've been there for, I think, 18 years now. So pretty much my entire working life. I worked at the roofing company where it came from. They recruited me because I was young, knew the software, knew roofing, and as they said, you never shut up, so go sell this. So I traveled across the country for 6 years on the road every week and just met contractors and showed this, slowly worked my way up the chain. And that's how I met Miss Baxter, about 10 or 12 years ago, probably.
2012.
2012. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So time's flying by. Kim, how about you introduce yourself? Tell us about you and your company. And you've had a long history in the roofing industry too.
Yes, I started in late 2011. So 14 years or so. I've been at O'Hara's for just over 2 years. I'm in sales, so I get to do it all. I'm lucky. I get to talk to our contractors. I get to talk to our manufacturers, our clients. I get to work really hand in hand with production and service. I'm very heavily involved in service. We have a wonderful service team, and so I'm very lucky that I get to touch it all. And I was heavily involved in us choosing Dataforma.
Well, yeah, because I wanted to hire Kim, but we couldn't afford her. So, salespeople I know, so it was a good silver medal that her new company chose Dataforma.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I mean, you just touched on it briefly in your introduction. What does Dataforma do for contractors? And you've got some really specific niches that you excel at. So maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, and certainly, we came from a commercial roofing company. And actually, it was one of the original Tecta America companies. So Dataforma was built to scale to the size of Tecta. So for the larger roofing companies, for roofing companies with multiple divisions, departments, locations, we seem to be the best fit because you can silo those different departments, locations, or divisions. So maybe, if I run the, Tampa, Florida office, I only need to see Tampa, Florida, right? And then that way I don't have work orders from, Riverside, California screwing me up, right? I just see my stuff, I run my stuff. I can run reports on my division. But then if I'm the owner, I can run reports on the entire company or on each individual division. So that is really our niche. Because we didn't try to build the software fast. We didn't see a market and go after it. It was built over 2 years, really just to be for our company. But then the owner saw it and said to go sell it. So that's, we had a foundation laid over time. So now when we make changes, it makes it easier to produce those changes in a way that doesn't break the rest of the code. And now, we've expanded to other industries, but we still focus on commercial roofing And then if we get the HVAC and electrical guys, we're happy to service them as well.
Yeah, yeah. So, Kim, what was your first experience with Dataforma?
So I was new to a company that was ready to move from QuickBooks. It was very early stages, very early contractor. And we were looking for something that would do everything for us. We only had 9 employees. So we needed something that would do accounting and production and service and work with our contractors. Our contractors were a very, very, very big part of our company. And we went through the gamut. I mean, I remember spending hours and hours and hours in the conference room and tearing these things apart and testing and making sure. And when it came down to it, I mean, Brian's heard this 1,000 times. Dataforma is the only one that could do every single thing we needed it to do, to where our employees had spent the least amount of time in the weeds. And it was time saving for us, and it was just all encompassing. And so it was a natural to, when I started at OSR and Luke was ready to, again, move to an all encompassing software. I spoke up. I was kind of loud about it. I even asked him, I pulled Luke aside at one point and I said, "How loud do you want me to be about software?" And he goes, "You be as loud as you need to be," which is what I love about him. And so I was loud, and I'm hoping that I haven't heard any complaints. We've been using it for a year and a half?
Yeah, a year and some change. Yep.
Yeah, and it does everything we need it to do.
And that's the thing too, like, they really did, like, because their staff, everyone had their ideas, so everyone brought different softwares to the table. So, it's not like it was a layup, like, "Hey, Brian, you just get our account." It was like, no, you're still going to go through the ringer. And we did 2 or 3 or 4 demos, I think, with different staff. And, because it makes sense. One, if you're a large contractor, you think, man, I need to spend a ton of money in order to get what I need, right? Or, especially now that we have lots of more PE coming into our industry, they're used to, hey, we get Salesforce and then bolt-on modules. So I see that a lot too. And because then when they see our pricing, they're almost shocked. They're like, "There's no way you can do all these things that we need for this price." I'm like, "Well, no, we do." And because we built it over 20 years and we have thousands of contractors that we spread that cost out to, like, you don't have to pay us. I mean, true story, a contractor of ours didn't know we had new features, spent $1 million building onto Microsoft Dynamics, saw one of our webinars and called me and said, "Do you really have this?" And I said, "Yes." He was like, "Well, I just wasted $1 million, but come train me how to use it." So that shows like how far we've gotten. Like Kim said, there's so, I mean, you have a time card in there, daily job reports, a service module, production module. We're about to release a full sales module, right? So for people that have separate sales CRM, you don't need those now. And again, the price point doesn't have to be crazy, but yeah, it was fun having Kim run me through with the new staff at OSR. And
here's the thing. There were a lot of softwares brought to the table, and a lot of softwares out there do a lot of stuff. And we listened to every single one and we sent everybody through the ringer and tested them. And, it's not a very easy decision, because once you're in and you get everything in there, you better have made the right decision. So, I mean, we're a year and a half later, and I gasped out loud the other day at your newest company cam
integration, yeah.
announcement, because we use that. Like, I was so excited.
Thank you, because we're making some big changes at Dataforma. That should be a good signal too of like how we're trying to change and update, because we know we have this great foundation and great functionality, but like I told you last time, Karen, let's get rid of clicks. Let's make it more updated for the 21st century. More integrations with things like Company Cam, because at times we've been standoffish. Now we just want to hug everyone and say, hey, if it makes it better for our clients, we don't care. And then the other point, Kim, This is interesting too, Karen. It's not just direct user feedback, but I remember doing all the demos with OSR, and you would hear them ask questions, and you're like, oh, not only is that a great question, that's a great idea for a functionality upgrade. And then you write that on the pad, and you go back to the tech team and say, hey, throw this stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to back up because it's been a year and a half now. Kim, maybe you can talk a little bit about maybe what you were doing and then the integration or the switch over to Dataforma. What was that process like? And were people happy? Were they struggling? Were they on board? It can always be, I was like changing banks, I'm so used to doing it this way. Now I've got to do it this way, or now I got to go to this bank. What did that process look like for you guys there?
So it was a little different for us. So OSR wasn't really fully invested in a national, they hadn't done a whole lot of national service. OSR is a very heavy, re-roof company and new construction. And so they would do some local service out of Chicago and the 2-year warranties on all their re-roofs. And, we self-perform all of that. We have our travel, we call them our road warriors. And so we would just put a guy on the road and go take care of our 2-year warranty. So when I came on, Luke said, Kim, I want you to, you'll even see my title is service salesperson, even though I sell more than service, because he really wanted to concentrate on a national service program. So what we were using up until then was good. It worked for everybody because we self-performed, everything. And so it worked for us. It worked for the service team. It worked for the production team. The production team was using I can't remember now. I don't know if it was construction manager or company cam. I can't remember what they were using, but it worked for everybody. And everybody was happy and we were good. When we came in, so it was a lot to take. First of all, it was a lot to take in for everybody going from, hey, we're going to now do national service. And hey, now we need to do another software because this one won't exactly work for us. And hey, we're going to start working with some contractors where we don't have self-performing, and so we need to bring that on. And so I was like, well, unfortunately, what we're using won't do that. And the way I describe that is the lock feature. So when you've got the lock feature in Dataforma, you can lock it to however many people you want to. And you put your contractors in there as contacts. And then you build a lock for them. And so you can have one work order that's got, like, say you get a manufacturer warranty work order in. You can lock it to that manufacturer. You can lock it to the person that's going on site to do it. And you can lock it to a branch, because we have different branches. And sometimes our Chicago branch will do something, or Texas, or, New Jersey. And so you've got all these people that can just see that one work order.
Yep, keeps the prying eyes out of it. Yep.
Yeah, and that way you can, what if we want an HVAC contractor? If we want to do a meetup, we can put them as a contact and put them in there, or it's just, and then you can invoice it and, take a percentage or add a percentage or whatever you need to do to get that out to the client. And all of it works. It's just streamlined for us. So it was some growing pains. Any company would, especially as fast as OSR is growing. But it's working. It's working, and everybody's on board, and we all work together really, really well. And if there is I'm very quick to throw Brian out there. If someone calls and is like, I don't think it can do this, I'm like, call Brian. I bet it can do that.
Yeah, Karen, now they're using our API too. So a few years ago, excuse me, we opened up the back end so people, especially contractors who have tech teams on staff, so they're pulling all sorts of data out and pushing it to different places. So maybe they have a separate CRM or a separate accounting system, whatever it is. And for contractors that don't, we have ways that we can dump information, but now they're actually using a direct integration with Dataforma to push and pull information to other places. So that's the world that all these contractors want to live in now. It's like, hey, I want to get to the place where Dataforma becomes my repository of all of my information, and then I can just pull stuff out or push it in as need be constantly, right? Always flowing in and out. And then even like onboarding new contractors now, we just created a new importer. And I bring this up because I saw one of our competitors put out a picture that said we couldn't do certain things, and I got mad. But I still will not mention them. And but yeah, so like when contractors are coming from another system, we can import all of that information. And then even like if you have a service history on a building with pictures, we can now bring in all those pictures attached to that service history. So
You've got to make it easy, right? And as pain free as possible. I'm curious, Kim, because you mentioned you're growing really fast. How has Dataforma been keeping up with that growth?
That we don't even, the software is not even a discussion. It's yeah. Yeah, software has not come up. We actually, the entire sales team was just in the Chicago office 2 days ago for a here we go, here we grow, basically discussion, and software was not discussed at all. Everything that we use at OSR across the board is working for us. It's going to work for us. We didn't even talk about it.
That's fantastic to hear because usually in a here we grow type meeting, it's oh, these systems aren't keeping up or these aren't doing it. But it sounds like you said it's not even an issue. You're focused more on now how can we get more contractors to partner with because we've got all these buildings we need to service, right?
Yeah, it was a big discussion on getting more road warriors. Because as many re-roofs that we're doing and that we want to grow to next year, we need more project managers and we need more superintendents, and it was mainly just production stuff. Nobody that touches, service is going to grow huge next year, but we didn't even talk about adding more people because the software we use, handles a lot of the work for us. So
that's what we like to hear. Well, just wait till we give you that fancy new sales module. You're going to love it. And I'm hoping for our PSU event, November 13th, 14th, we're hoping to unveil it there. But it's a true, like, put in, like, hey, I met so-and-so at BOMA. All you need is a name and a phone number. And then that can turn into an opportunity. You'll be able to create estimates and actually write your proposals in the mobile app. You'll be able to send them a link where they can actually sign it. So you'll be able to see if they looked at the proposal. You'll be able to see if they signed the proposal. And then that will then turn into a work order or project and then hit your close ratio. And there's a cool Kanban view, if you know what that is, where we can drag leads to different. So it's been in the works for like 4, 5, 6 months, and it's about to get rolled out.
Wow, that's really exciting to hear because you have got to continue to advance your technology, your capabilities anymore. I mean, we're doing a lot of things from our phones nowadays, right? So to be able to even just do that, and Kim, I'm sure that's important to you, being in sales, you're probably out a lot, right? You're not sitting behind a desk. So how important is it for you to be able to access everything on your phone?
very, because, and in fact, I just said that this week because I had to go from Orlando to Chicago, and then in another week I'm somewhere else, and another week I'm somewhere else, and dragging a laptop, through the airport. I mean, you guys travel too. Dragging that laptop, it's heavy. And I thought I have got to invest in an iPad. And then I was like, well, what can I do from an iPad, or what can I not do on an iPad? I had that whole conversation in my head yesterday, and Dataforma was not one of the problems that I was having.
Oh, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. Now, since you mentioned the user conference in November, Brian, I just want to ask him, is this something you're sending folks to? What are your thoughts on the Dataforma user conference?
Yes, so we will be sending people. We've got a full service team, and it's funny because I called Jessie. So Jessie runs our service program, and I called her and I was like, I know where it's going to be. And I said, it's going to be in Scottsdale. She was like, oh my God, who am I going to have to fight to go to this thing? So we will definitely be there in full force, because not only is it a gorgeous place, but the information they get. And plus they get to see other contractors. I've always been a huge, and Karen, you probably have heard me say this, I know Heidi has, that once you meet someone face to face, your respect level for them goes up 1,000%. So I'm a true believer in seeing contractors face to face, and when we work with them especially.
Yeah, and this year, this will be my first year like setting up and running our user conference. So, and I do want it to be different. So our group sessions will, yes, be Dataforma focused, but more on the new stuff, right? We're not going to go over as much old stuff that's been there. So you'll see the sales module. You'll see all this new stuff we're coming out with, upgrades to the mobile app with like AI route optimization and stuff in it. And then when we have the breakout sessions, we want to allow you to, there will be sessions on Dataforma, but also there's going to be sessions where you can just talk to contractors. So if you just want, hey, I'm here, we have 45 minutes, here's a session on hiring and training field employees, and here's a session on just how do you run your preventative maintenance crews. So it doesn't have to be like, we don't have to kill you with Dataforma the whole time. So like, I think it's a really good way to do it because it's like, hey, you're going to get enough Dataforma, but we want it to be good for you and your business too. So there's all these other sessions that you can attend, while you're there. And like she said, Kim was one of the first to hear about where it is. It's a really nice resort. We got the room rate under $300 a night. It's in, cool part of Scottsdale. It's a Thursday, Friday. So come down, bring the family, stay for a day or two. It should be, we already have like 40 or 50 people registered and we just opened it up last week. So we think it's going to be a pretty big one. So I think everybody should come. Make me look good, please.
We just recently purchased Starkweather in Phoenix. So one of our new companies is there, and I just spent 2 days with them on Tuesday, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. So I'll have to give them a call and let them know you're.
Was that Jeff Starkweather?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, God, that's from like when I was like 22 or something.
Yeah. It is.
See, the roofing industry is full of great relationships that just don't go away, and you run into people over the years, time and time again. Well, this has been really fantastic having you guys here talking about the relationships, the software, what it's been able to do, how it's been able to help you grow, and the touch on the user conference. And I love, Kim, what you said is meeting people face to face and networking and spending that time together. It's also a great opportunity to ask those questions so you don't do something like waste $1 million on, right?
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't us.
Excellent. So, Brian, if somebody wants to find out more about Dataforma, what should they do?
Go to dataforma.com or email me at bcook, BCOOK, at dataforma.com. And I guess we'll all see each other in Western in about a month.
Soon at the end of September. Yeah. So if you missed that website, you know that Dataforma has directories on all of the coffee shop sites, so you can find them there as well. Thank you both for being here. This was great.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform because we want to see you on a future episode of CoatingsCast. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this coding adventure. Stay tuned for more episodes, and in the meantime, be sure to follow us on social media to stay updated with all things roof coatings. Until next time, stay coded. For more information, go to CoatingsCoffeeShop.com.